Welcome to the Startup Grind.
Thank you. Well, I want to welcome everybody here tonight to the Startup Grind we have for you tonight. My name is Leah Ritz, and I am the facilitator for the current iLAB program that is happening here at Vision Villas. So welcome to Vision Villas, to this beautiful resort. Who here is it your first time here? Anybody first time? Roger's first time? Well, this amazing resort has huge vision behind it. That is why it is called Vision Villas. And it's a place where entrepreneurs can gather and share best practices and really be working on their business, go through the iLAB program. If you don't know what that is, come talk to me after, or the lovely Simone that we've got here in the room as well. And so what we're doing here tonight with the Startup Grind is, of course, an entrepreneurial networking event, so we can share some best practices, share some not so best practices, because who learns more from mistakes than successes? Exactly, so we're definitely going to share those. And what we're going to do tonight is actually hear from some amazing gentlemen that have such a wealth of knowledge and experience and wisdom, because they've kind of done the been there, done that, and have some successes and maybe even some failures that they're going to share with you. So what I want to do is bring up here Roger Hamilton. He is the founder of Entrepreneurs Institute and the person who built this wonderful space that we are all sharing here this evening in this environment. So Roger, if you could please come on up.
This is being recorded as well, and is going to be online. So Startup Grind has many sponsors. One we're adding this evening is Sangria, special spot. So here in Bali, has everyone tried the Sangria? Isn't it awesome? Yeah. So I have one of these. David has one of these as well. I am going to be bringing David up now, and I want to just share that David's only actually been living in Bali for 2 or 3 weeks. So just at the beginning of the journey that every one of you have been on, because every one of you are here in Bali as part of your own journey as well. And I think it's going to be a really interesting and interactive evening we've got ahead of us, because on the one hand, we're going to hear about David and about his business and how he's grown it with MBA Coach. So David's whole background, which you're going to hear more about when he comes up, is he just made this decision that he was going to be supporting and certifying and raising the standard of the coaching industry. And he did this through a whole series of different products and partnerships, which allowed him to travel around the world. And he decided out of all the places he was going to move to, he was going to come here to Bali. So he made that decision very recently. He's now out here, and we're going to have a conversation around his journey and also the journey of all of us when it comes to how do we actually go about building a business where we can work from anywhere and learn from everywhere. So with that being said, can we please give David Wood a big round of applause?
I'm a fireball.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane, for the music choice.
Yes,
All right, how are you, David?
I'm good, thank you.
How long has it been that you've been in Bali?
3 weeks?
3 weeks. So before we get into the conversation, and I was sharing with David earlier, there's 2 areas in this conversation which we really want to go. One is, how do you create a business where you are using your skills to educate, to transform? So it's more than just a product or a technology. You're actually creating something which, in a way, might be difficult to turn into something that's multipliable, because it's something that you're used to doing yourself. So you might be a wellness practitioner, you might be a coach, you might be a trainer, you might be a speaker, you might be an author. But if you're in any of those areas and you're thinking, well, how do you actually turn that into something which allows you to free your time up and be anywhere? That's a part of the subject tonight, because that's been David's journey. So we're going to talk about that. And the second thing is to go a little bit deeper into the fact that this whole coaching or ongoing education arena isn't just impacting us as adults, it impacts how we even see our kids. Like, how do we reconcile the old model, which is that we pay a huge amount of money to get through to university, and then at 21 we stop learning, and then we go into a job, compared to what's going on today, where we realize that's no longer the model. How do we actually change and shift this? And is there a shift that's going to be happening that David sees in the industry as well? So let's start with your story. How did you end up in Bali?
Well, first I want to say, you invited me to come and see your villas 7 years ago, and I'm here.
It was 7 years ago. 7 years ago
I show up
in Vail,
in Vail,
Colorado, right?
Yep. You said, come and see my villa sometime. I'm here.
So we were there at Transformational Leadership Council, which is the group that was set up by Jack Hanfield, by John Gray, and it just is an invitation group that comes together twice a year. And that was the one time, and we only just figured that out right now, that's where we met, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
we knew it was somewhere. And was that your first session?
My first TLC.
That was your first TLC.
Yeah.
It was the first one I brought the family to. So Renata was there and the kids were there as well. Yeah. They all got to learn to fire a gun because we were on a ranch. So there's a 7-year-old son going, oh, this is what America's all about, shooting guns. Okay, so that all happened. And yeah, we talked at the time about you coming out to Bali.
Yeah, you told me what you're doing. I've always been curious about it.
Yeah.
And then, so how did I get here? 20 years ago, I was doing a lot of traveling, went around the world for a year, and I came to Bali and thought it was the best place I'd ever been to. And then 2 years ago, Russell, hold your hand up, invited me to come and stay at his villa. So I called my girlfriend and said, you can't be too strong with her because she doesn't like new ideas. So I just said, do you hate Bali? She's like, hate Bali? Anyway, we came over to Bali. And then recently I just decided I can live anywhere in the world. I mean, I've known that for a long time, and America's been my choice for the last 15 years. And I thought, why am I not living in this place that's my favorite place? So I went back home in November, sold all my stuff, came over here with 2 suitcases, and here I am.
Now, you weren't originally from America, right?
No, I'm Australian.
So you're from Australia, and then you chose to go to America.
Yeah, because again, and this wasn't my choice. I went to America for 2 months, but while I was there, I had this flash that I didn't have to go home ever. I thought, I've got my laptop and my wallet and my passport, and I'm working on the computer. I've just broken up with my partner, so I was single. I had a house I was paying rent on with her and furniture, and I thought, if I can just handle that, I don't have to go home. So we worked out a deal, and I didn't go home. And I spent the last 15 years in the States.
So when you went to the US, did you know what you wanted to do at that point?
I was just going to travel the world and have a good time.
Okay. And how did you, from there, get into the whole coaching industry?
I got into coaching. I was born as an actuary, which is finance.
Can you get born as an actuary?
I feel like I was. I mean,
Does everyone know what an actuary is? Yeah. So if you've ever had to go through an insurance claim or something, and you figured out, how did they even figure out how much they were going to charge me? This is like actuaries sitting down. They work all the details. They're very good at maths.
Yeah, strong mathematic background.
Statistics.
So I did that, and I got a job in New York because I kept traveling the world, and I couldn't afford to keep traveling the world. And I thought, if I could work somewhere else and get paid, I can have my travel experience and get paid. So I got a transfer to New York. And then at some point I did a transformational program, Landmark Education, and got to coach people accidentally, and I couldn't help it. People are stuck. I'm like, oh, well, try this. And it changed their life. And I got hooked. And then I found out that if I kept going with Landmark, they would train me as a coach. I'm like, sign me up. And then someone said that they got a business card from someone who said he was a coach. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, he charges for this. I'm like, okay. So it took another year. I just kept that idea in my back pocket. It took another year of maybe one day. And then finally, I bit the bullet. I said, I'm going to begin as a coach, get my first practice client, and throw myself in the deep end. And that's how I started.
So there's a big jump which goes from being a coach to being a certifier of coaches, right? Which is what you now do with Coach MBA. And so what's
No,
what was
let
that
me
shift?
clarify that because I know you mentioned certification. When I started in coaching, after a few years, I decided to train other coaches. And then I did go into certification for a while, and I started a training school that's now certifying worldwide. Then I left the school, and what I focus on with people is the business skills to actually get paying clients. So I don't train them in all the skills of how to coach. That comes up. But it's more, let's assume you already know how to help somebody. I'm going to show you how to structure it, how to charge for it. That's where I
Okay,
focus
so
my attention.
so this is a really important distinction, and this
Yes.
is where we want to go, because this idea of coaching being something which builds skills around your core asset or talent, right? Mm-hmm. In the UK this last week, the Labour Party has come out with a plan, because what happened last year, and for anyone who follows the UK education market, last year, until last year, in order for you to be a headmaster at a school, you needed to have a certification, which meant you had to go through additional certifications in addition to being a teacher to qualify, and then you would then become a headmaster. And so they'd have maybe 1,000 a year coming through. And then they said, well, that makes no sense, because what you actually need to be a headmaster is to be a good business manager, a good leader. You know, you're actually running a pretty sizable $1 million organization if you're running a school. So they did away with the entire thing, which meant that basically now you don't have to be certified anymore to be a headmaster. You just have to basically, get the job. And instead, what the Labour Party are now putting in place is a structure by which, instead of them certifying and then getting the job, when they get the job, they're going to get ongoing coaching in business coaching and leadership coaching. Wow. In partnership with the largest coaching federations in the UK, right? So that's a whole different shift in mindset.
Yeah.
So if we take that concept and say, right, so what is the difference of a life coach, an executive coach, a business coach? I mean, like, this coaching is a really broad range.
Yeah.
When you're helping people, how do you define the difference of that compared to mentors or trainers?
Yeah. So there's a number of angles in this question. Firstly, I want to make the point that in many countries you don't have to be certified. The government doesn't require regulation. So you can hang out your shingle and you're the one who regulates you. You decide if you, and your clients, they decide if they're going to trust you with their life. Life coaching to me is coaching on, and generally personal goals. So I want a new career, I want a new partner, I want to organize my life, I want to do some fun stuff. Or even if I want more money, life coaching encompasses everything. Within that, you might specialize and say, I'm going to be a career coach. And I do recommend this, by the way. I recommend specialization. Get good at something. I'm a career coach. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a financial coach. Then people who coach people with money, who have good jobs within organizations, call themselves executive coaches, which brings its own kinds of challenges. Often they want help with conflict resolution. They want help with leadership. And then there's corporate coaching, which I define as helping the corporation and the leadership in how does the corporation run. Then there's business coaching. Like, you might help new businesses that are small businesses. You might help businesses that have $1 million in revenue or $50 million in revenue. So it's really, you decide who you're going to help, and then you decide what you call yourself.
So how do you define what you're now doing within that whole spectrum?
I call myself a coach, and I'm willing to take on pretty much anything, because, and you asked also, how does coach differentiate from mentor or trainer? So the difference is, a mentor should have been there and done it. Mentor's been there and done it. So I mentor coaches on how to build a coaching practice. Right. I don't mentor a housewife on how to become a ballerina, because I haven't done much of that. It's another story for another time and another sangria. I forget your question.
It's okay, I forgot it too. No. So yeah, it was
I call myself a coach.
mentoring. So you mentioned that, the mentoring, the difference, the fact there are different ones. You're now going down this line. I want to talk about this a little bit, about this shift you had, because when you were running the larger programs, like, it was more quantity, right? In terms of numbers. So like, how many different coaches would you say at that point you were impacting through what you're doing in the US at that point?
When I was working with the school?
Yeah.
A very small, we were just getting started up. And as we got started, I was so excited about the business model, because we were going to use online training, remote learning, which is now a big thing, but at the time, no one was doing it. And I had an expert in remote learning, so I was really gung-ho on this business model. We'd save so much on our costs and still give great training. And then almost overnight, the ICF came in and said, if you want to be certified with us, it's got to be phone coaching. We won't certify online, remote or anything. So that kind of knocked it out of the water. So the
ICF is the International Coaching Federation, and you're part of that as well. And they have their own, or you were part of it. You still part of it now?
No, I did get certified through them.
Yeah.
Because I felt like I needed some kind of credibility, and then I let it go. I just didn't feel like, no one was asking me if I was certified, and all I got was a piece of paper, so I...
So on that point, right, I want to come back to that, is like the challenges of being a coach or being in an industry where there's such a wide variety of skill sets.
Yeah. and
So
competition.
we're kind of, yeah, and by the way, the same is happening in the wellness industry, as you know, right? And the same is happening in holistic. It's all in the same. It's the same thing. You can have some people awesome. You can have other people saying they're doing the same thing, and they're just getting started.
Yeah.
And because there is no regulation, which sometimes can be a good thing. I know a lot of people who have actually left their psychology practice, their doctor's practice. They've actually given up their license as a lawyer, because they are bound by a whole bunch of restrictions that they can't be doing certain things that they can do the moment they actually let it go. So it's a double-edged sword that I want to get to, because that's one of the things that most people are grappling with in it. But coming back to this point about going from scale to now focusing on a smaller number of people, the Fortune magazine had this article on Anthony Robbins, where he used to go out and spend most of his time going out to thousands of people and lots of people. And the actual title on the Fortune magazine was CEO Whisperer, because it was about how now he's focusing a lot more of his time kind of coaching $1 million clients,
Bringing
and
it
working
down.
with very far fewer people,
Yeah.
and doing it virtually a lot of times, right? And so at the moment, are you working with a far fewer number of people and just charging more?
Yes and no. So how it started was I was coaching and I had 20 clients. And then I started converting my knowledge into product, because I found I was having the same conversations over and over and over again. And I'm like, boy, lesson 3 is always the same with someone who wants to become a coach. Lesson 5 is always the same. I really need a worksheet. So I finally put it all down in a manual called the Coach Start Manual. And now that's my most popular product. I think it's sold over $1 million. It sells for $100. Over $1 million has come in through that. So I put my information in product, and I can't tell you how many customers I've had over the past 15 years. So I've reached tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands this way. And then I came back to just coaching. And then I started scaling again, because I decided to start my own school focused on business skills. So that school, I might have 30 people at a time can go through that.
So in an average week, like how many days a week are you spending actually delivering coaching now to your clients as opposed to doing other things?
Right now, I spend an hour and a half.
Per week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the rest of the time?
So 1 hour is my students, a group class, and right now I'm working with one client in the States.
Got it. Okay. So for anyone who is at that point where they're either getting going or where they are looking for the smartest way for them to effectively free up their time to be able to live anywhere, Bali or anywhere else,
Yep.
and actually to just start to optimize based on what's going on in the world today, smarter ways that they can get more down if they want to a couple of hours a week. What would you say in your experience are the biggest things that have shifted in the market or that you've seen that you've had to adjust with in the way you've created the products or in the way you've gone out and built partnerships and so on that's allowed you to do
Wow,
this?
well, you just expanded the question by 1,000, because I could answer what I think is the best way to get started, to build some revenue and to leverage your time, or I could answer how I think everything's shifted over the past 15 years.
So we'll say that question has a part A and a part B.
Okay,
And we'll start with the part A.
I was all ready to answer it, and then you went,
I do that sometimes.
Thank you. So part A, I think a great way to get started, firstly, here's what not to do. Don't write a book. It doesn't mean you can't write a book, but if you want to get started quickly and you want to generate revenue, do not write a book. Don't even do an ebook. I think the best way to generate quick revenue is to work out what you offer, work out who you want to offer it to, the target market, and offer one-on-one coaching. Whether you charge $300 a month or $1,000 a month, it's still good money. And if you're getting $300, say, for an hour and a half on the phone, it's good money. You don't have to spend many hours doing it. You find people who are going to get enough value from what you offer. That's a good way to start it. And when I started coaching, I had 23, not when I started, that's wrong. After 3 years of building my coaching practice, I had 23 clients and I was earning $120,000. But I could coach those clients in 2.5 days. Freed up the rest of my time. I could have gone on vacation with that time, but I used it to build my business. So I think that's a good, quick way to get started. After that, I think it's really cool to create a product. And the simplest product that I can think of is a CD or an audio. You can run a teleclass and teach people the top 4 things to avoid for newlyweds that destroy marriages, for example. Do a teleclass 3 times, record it each time, take one you like, edit it down, bang, product. Maybe you sell it for $25, but it gets you started in the information world. And then what's cool about that, as you would know, is people will then pay $25 to you to get your product. They're paying you for you to audition for them. Because now, who was the lady here who told me she just Googled me and watched my video? Yeah, I don't even know which video it was. She said it was an awesome video.
It's a good video.
Thank you.
Is this better, having live?
Better alive, yes. It remains to be seen. But isn't this amazing? The video was free, so you do some free products, but then you do some paid products. They're paying $25 because maybe they don't want to invest $300 or $900 with you. And this comes back to the certification issue. Maybe you don't have a certification, but this is how you build rapport and trust. They watch your videos. Wow, this person's got some good ideas. I like their energy. I resonate with them. They read your bio. And then they spend $25. They've paid money. They've gotten something. They've gotten value. Now it's much more likely they're going to want to hire you. It's a much easier sell. Some people come to me ready. I had one guy, I love this story, my current client, because I haven't been chasing clients for a long time. I just went, I'm going to let it go. He came to buy my motorbike because I was selling everything in the States. He came to look at my bike. He didn't really like the bike, but I said, look, here's a copy of my book. Take it, enjoy. He read my book, called me back, and he said, I think you're the coach I'm looking for. And he's really thought about it for a long time. He said, you're exactly the coach I'm looking for. And we did a phone call. He hired me on the spot, paid me in advance for 6 months, but it came out of product. And all of this that I'm saying, all of it's a learning curve. So if you haven't done a product, it's going to take time. It'll be maybe a month, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months to learn how to do it wrong, and then keep doing it wrong, and then you have some people buy it, and you're like, woo! Someone bought my product, and I don't even know them. That's an exciting day.
So we're going to come back to this. Anyone who's got any particular questions when we get to the Q&A part, keep that on store because if there's anything like that you're focusing on, that's really important. Startup Grind is all about, Startup Grind has really started, as you can see, Google for Entrepreneurs. It was started really to help tech startups. And we've had people who have actually shared here in Bali who have had tech startups as well. But as you know, there's a whole lot more people here that are actually sharing their knowledge or their skill than they are setting up a tech company, right? So that's a large part of what Bali or any country which has actually got a lifestyle that people want to live attracts as well. So that brings me to the other part, which is the challenge, the double-edged sword of
what's been changing.
Yeah, of an educational transformation-based business. And I take, the whole wellness industry into that as well. I'm taking anyone where they're saying, look, whether I'm doing massage, whether I'm doing coaching, whether I'm doing therapy, I'm doing something where I'm supporting and connecting with someone in such ways, enhancing their life. How do I multiply that out? And some of the things you shared are those ways. But while I'm doing that, how do I manage the fact that there is this entire range of skill sets and noise in the marketplace? What would you say to someone in terms of, well, first of all, do you think that's an issue for the industry? Do you think it's a short-term thing that will go away or it's going to get worse? And what do you think is the best way for people to handle that?
I think when I started, I had things pretty good. AdSense, who knows what Google AdSense is? Google AdWords, actually, Google AdWords. So you advertise and you pay every time someone clicks your ad, which is revolutionary. So when I started, it was a penny a click for the word life coaching. So I built my newsletter to 80,000 people by spending a penny a click. And it didn't even cost me because enough people would buy my product that it was revenue neutral. And on Google, it wasn't even Google at the time, Alta Vista. Anyone remember Alta Vista? I was ranked for life coaching worldwide number 1, 4, 7, and 9 on Alta Vista. I had one coaching school owner complain to them about me. I wasn't doing anything, I think, shady, but it was easy then online, and now, it's probably $5 a click for life coaching on AdWords, partly because you've got idiots with money, probably losing money, and so I can't compete with them. So that's really hard. And information, oh, goodness, what I could charge $39 for 10 years ago or 15 years ago, people were giving away university courses now for free. It's brutal. Someone, I don't know who, or I'd attribute it to them, said that eventually we'll be paying people $10 to read our books. That's the way it's going. Everyone, you're giving away so much, you're in competition, you have to give so much. And I didn't realize this, but someone pointed out, I give away a lot to build a relationship. And I build the relationship and then offer something for sale. So it keeps on the bar keeps getting higher and higher. You've got to build trust. And I think that's getting harder and harder to do. But I have a theory that it's all crap. Because back when I was starting, there'd be other people complaining about how hard it's gotten. So I don't know that it's ever going to be any different. Wherever you start, the old stuff that was working has stopped, and you've got to find something new. So now Facebook ads are supposedly still big. I don't think they've died. It's incredible what you can do. But you can't just start it up. I got a buddy started selling Viagra. He was too embarrassed to tell anybody. He was selling Viagra, and he made $200 a week instantly. But he was that brilliant, he could find the holes and get in. Most of us, if you want to do Facebook ads, you're going to have to study it. You're going to have to practice it. You're going to have to lose some money and maybe go into it for 3 months before you crack it, if you do. But if you do crack it, now you've got a constant revenue stream. You just up your spend, and now you're building your newsletter list. Am I answering your question at all?
Yeah, you are, from the point of view that, on the one hand, the idea that you're saying it's getting harder, I think is really interesting, because it is about, when you know something works, it's really difficult to unlearn that thing for the next thing. You know, it's the whole obstacle of knowledge. It's like you know too much, whereas someone new comes along and just says, well, I'm just going to do this way, and they beat you straight away. And it's like, what? How could that work, right? I mean, two of the things that we're seeing is that while the cost of content online, or what people are willing to pay, is going down, what people are willing to pay for experiences is going up. Right, so like it's like you give away the music and pay and charge for the experience to join your fan club or be at your concert, and I see a lot of good coaches doing that, where they're running a retreat once a year. You know, people are paying a lot of good money to come to that. They're giving away all their stuff for free, and they're making more money through a fewer number of people funding everything. But those people are loving it because they're getting that experience. And Bali's an amazing place for that kind of thing. We see a lot of people running those kind of programs.
Well, that's true. And now I see the connection between your earlier question, that I went from selling these small items that were $39, $47 a month. Now I get much more revenue by selling a $2,000 coach training program and working with 30 people rather than the hundreds.
And those people didn't exist in the same way 10 years ago. I mean, the people that have actually extended through to say, I know what, I want to pay for all that stuff. I have got to this level now where I'm actually looking for more. I mean, it was unheard of to have people spending $1 million a year on coaching, like 10 years ago, whereas today there's quite a lot of people at that level, or even at $10,000 level, or $5,000, and they know how to apply it and then make money from it as well. Yeah. So as a result, they're really starting to effectively grow. There's someone who was here on doing a live chat with us who's based in Jakarta. So this is interesting for anyone in Indonesia. Indonesia has this massive issue where there's all this money coming in for entrepreneurs, but there isn't the investable entrepreneurs. So the person we had, his name is Peng Ong. He runs something called Monk's Hill. He was originally from Singapore, set up a $100 million fund, has moved to Jakarta. A lot of the money is coming from private families in Jakarta that want to invest in fast growth companies and believe in the future of Jakarta as the fourth largest country in the world, or Indonesia is the fourth largest country in the world. And he says he's got all this money to invest, but he doesn't have investable entrepreneurs. He has people with good ideas, but they're not being coached or mentored at a level which allows them to actually have solid businesses grow, because they don't have the support around them. The way if you go to a place like America, there's all these incubators, people like Y Combinator and others, there's an entire infrastructure around Silicon Valley which allows a good idea and a good entrepreneur to be supported by that. So in this coming month, he's running a session in Jakarta for all the top coaches he can find to basically say, like he says, I don't have a problem getting money, I have a problem getting the coaching and the structure in place to coach the best people we've got. And so that's a perfect example of where there are now people at a high level that really want the coaching, but it's at a high level. It's not the ones who are saying, let me just get into coaching. So I think that the food chain moves, right? And if you're staying here waiting for the people paying the $39, they're not there anymore because they've either got it for free or they've moved up to a high level, but either way, the bottom's fallen out, the middle's fallen out.
Yeah, you could be right. Yeah, people are very willing, and probably all of you and me will pay $2,000 to $5,000 to $10,000 for good training and for good experiences and to have community and do those things. So that's another option. I said you could do the low product. I said as like an audition thing. I said you could do one-on-one coaching. You can also put your material into a 12-week program or a 6-week program, or as Roger says, a retreat.
So on the one hand, right, if you have a question which is around your own particular business or someone that you know who's looking for some support, that David can answer some questions on, get into that. Second one is this whole trend is an interesting one in itself. So the final thing I wanted to share before we open this up is around the fact that the people that we've had here at Startup Grind in Bali have been people like the director of Green School, where we were talking about the future of education for children. Hands up, who is a parent here with kids, primary, secondary? Okay, so a number of parents here.
Where you say a parent with kids?
With a parent with kids.
As a parents with kids?
With kids knowingly. So on the one hand, we all have that challenge. How should we be educating our children? What kind of world are we educating them into? And then we're also saying, but wait, shouldn't I be also educating myself? And there is this kind of element where it's almost like the younger generation actually expects the older generation to continue to re-educate themselves anyway, because it's kind of like part and parcel of what they're doing when they're learning new things as well.
Yeah.
Coaching has kind of shown up as this peripheral thing that kind of like is a way for people to earn a living and to add some value at some threatening and also non-structural way. It's like, we'll work from the sides as opposed to this is something that everyone needs. It's not mandated by law that you have to have a coach or anything like that, right? Whereas you do need an accountant.
We can hope.
Right. So what do you see for the future of education? How, when you see all of the free university courses going out there, the online platforms, what part do you see in terms of how coaching will fit into an entire mix of education going forward? Do you have a vision of that? What do you see like 5-10 years from now?
I have no idea. I'm definitely not a futurist. I envy futurists. They say this will happen. I'm like, wow, yeah, probably right. So I have no idea how coaching is going to fit. But we talked earlier about education and free universities. And Australia was always free for a long time. The US, it's horrendously expensive. And I had a friend whose kid wanted 20 grand a year or 50 grand a year to go to university. And I was like, hell no. I spent 8 years qualifying as an actuary. It was painful, and a year later I resigned. So there's so much available for free. Get all the stuff you want for free, and if I have kids, I would be telling the same thing. Go and find what you want for free, become really good at it, and then find the course that you really trust, the person you really trust that you want to learn from, and maybe 2 to 10 grand, but 100 grand, 50 grand a year, the paradigm's changed. Our parents thought, go to college, you'll get a job. You can get a job without going to college. My question is, are you good? And you can get good, you can get good in 2 weeks. I mean, at least to begin, and then go and learn on the job. I'm more of a Tony Robbins style. He did, what's he call it, neuro-associative programming, whatever he called it, and he didn't know what he was doing, but he said, I will give you double your money back if I don't help you. And he went out there and put his money on the line and got great results. Bang, skipped the whole certification thing.
Do you think every adult should have at least one coach?
I thought you were going to say at least one kid. I was preparing for that. At least one coach. Look, I've gone for years without a coach, and it's partly because I have an inflated sense of myself. I think I'm really smart and I can do everything, and it's true. I've been able to self-motivate and produce amazing stuff on my own. And more recently, I haven't been able to do it. For the last few years, I've been feeling burned out, and it hasn't been happening. And recently, I started with a coach, and it feels awesome. Even if my coach doesn't show up, which he does, but even if he doesn't, it's still awesome. I've got that focus time. I come ready. I prepare. Last week, he didn't show up, and I just went through. I talked to myself. But the structure of having that accountability, it just changes everything. I was talking to my coach about my books. I had to find a place for 4,000 books in 3 days before I moved to Bali. And I said, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with them. And I said, you know what? I'll make one call to Citibank. Say, these books are going to recycling unless you want them. Now Citibank in Berkeley is giving away one copy to their Citi Gold members who have an account of more than $50,000. I would not have had that idea in isolation. It was in the conversation with the coach where I started looking out. So should anyone who wants to have a better life, yeah, I think it's a smart move. Whether it's an accountability buddy or someone you pay to listen to you and strategize, I just think it's a smart idea.
Got it. That reminds me of the story of the bank in Singapore. I'm going to get onto the questions now. So it's a bit of a segue, a little joke. Just warning you so you know when to laugh. So there's a guy in Singapore, a rich man, and he's going on holiday, and he goes to see his bank manager, right? So he goes to the bank, and he says to the bank, I'd like to take out a loan. And the bank manager says, well, how much would you like? He said, I'd like to take up $500,000. And he goes, that's a pretty big loan. And he goes, well, I'd like the loan. And he goes, well, you're going to have to put down some security. He said, well, I've got a Mercedes outside, and it's a nice Mercedes, and I'm willing to give you the Mercedes. And he goes, well, how long do you need it for? And he says, only for 2 weeks. And the guy goes, okay, you've got a deal. So he gets the $500,000, gives the Mercedes to the bank, goes on holiday, comes back 2 weeks later, and says, okay, I've come back, and I'd like to repay the loan. And the bank manager says, you haven't even used the loan. It's not even been used, so no problem. You can just take your car and go. And he goes, thank you very much. And then as he's going down to get this car, the bank manager says, just curious, why did you take the loan in the first place? Because you didn't even use it. And the bank manager, and the guy says, do you know how expensive the parking is in Singapore?
Nice one.
So let's open this up for questions, right? Take a moment and just think, what question would you ask? Some people are going to be already with a question of some sort. This is your opportunity to open this conversation whichever way it goes. So who would like to ask a question? Who do we have? All right.
I would like to ask a question. How did I...
Okay, if you can introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are, where you're from, without breaking any glasses.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Taxi.
My name is Lisa. I'm at the iLAB here. It has been really mind-blowing experience. Now I'm so interested. How come I found your video on Google so easily, and how did you put it there, and how can you monetize it? So there's many. Did you understand? 3 questions actually.
Well, I know how you found me.
Yeah, because I told you. But how?
Yeah. you typed in David Wood coach.
Yeah, that's I typed.
Yeah.
But how did it end up there? That's the first question.
Okay. So search engine optimization, from my archaic knowledge, if people link to your site, that's good. Yeah. Google tracks all the links out there and says this site has authority.
Okay.
So there are enough people who like my video. There are more recent innovations, which is social media. So Google, if people like my page on Facebook, Google tracks that. So if you want to rank well in the search engines, and I've gotten out of that game largely. I was #1 for years on Google, and you've got to upkeep it. You've got to keep having fresh content. You've got to have people link. It's got to be so good people want to link to you and they want to like your page. And you've got to be clear on what you want to rank for. You can't rank for every word. When I was focused on life coaching, I wanted to be number one for life coaching. So all my pages were about life coaching, the titles were about life coaching. When people linked to it, they put life coaching in the link. And I've been out of it for so long, so there's probably so much more you can do now that I don't even know about.
And how do you get money out of it? Another question.
That's a very good question. So the way, and this is a much bigger question because it's really how do you get money out of giving away free stuff? Yeah. So one way is you might say to people, put in your email address to watch my free video. And then you capture their email address and then you send them more information that's good, and then maybe one day you have a special offer for sale. And now they trust you, they know it's good, the stuff for free, so they go and pay. Does that pretty much sound like how the free information works?
Very good.
Yeah, but definitely email capture is very big. Try and you give them something and maybe you give them something else if they give you their email address and then you serve them.
I mean, one thing again, which people here in Bali will understand, is if you see people surfing a wave, it's already too late to get on it, right? Because, and this is the whole point about like knowing something works. Like to hear that search engine optimization was a way to actually get up there and that was important.
It was huge.
Well, that was the past, right? It's like, I mean, I'm sure we all remember a time when we used to actually use the telephone directory to actually contact people, right? And that was the big thing. And Yellow Pages was the place to advertise because that's where people were looking, right? There was a time we used to use the TV. In fact, there was a time the TV Guide in the 1980s was the #1 best-selling magazine because that was the only way people knew what was on TV, right? So Google is the 2000s or 1990s TV Guide, right? It's basically the directory which already Google itself knows is not where people are getting their information today. More people search on YouTube today than they search off the Google homepage, right? So understanding that people are changing their habits of where they're going to get things, and usually we're not even searching nowadays. We're actually just clicking on links that people have shared on social media or something like that as well. So understanding that I think is very important, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Is that even David's strategies now are different. It's like, yeah, he's got all of that, but he's not getting inundated by loads of people who say, I want your coaching today, and he's not expecting to, because that was something that happened before. Now he's doing something different, right?
I was surprised you found the video. I was surprised it came up because there's so many, David. I know you put in coach.
He's had a haircut since then as well. Yeah. But I think that's important. And I think emails are going the same way. I mean, a number of people, Transformational Leadership Council, when we're there, we're talking about how the actual open rates in emails keep going down and down and down and down.
I thought it was just mine.
And it's the same thing happening. And some of those people whose emails, the open rates are going down and down and down, are the same people teaching people to go out there and build an email list because that's the way to get their customers. And they're already at a point where they're getting more business through referrals and through other ways other than emails and through the emails because the whole market keeps on changing. And we all know what our inbox looks like. We all go to our inbox with dread nowadays, right? So what are new ways and different ways that companies are now going about doing things through push notifications and mobile and other things which actually are much more effective today as well. So it keeps on shifting. Yeah. All right, let's take another question. Yeah, we'll come over here to Derek.
Derek Loudermilk, who has a podcast on iTunes.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's called The Art of Adventure, and David is going to be a guest soon, next week.
What was his podcast ranked for new podcasts? What was the
we did hit the top of New and Noteworthy in iTunes when we launched back at the end of last year.
Nice.
In self-help and education. And my question revolves around, you said the best way to start getting some quick revenue is just to decide what type of coaching you want to do. And so how do you decide what part of your knowledge that you're going to start coaching?
What are you really good at that other people envy?
Well, are you asking me?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's my job.
He sells motorbikes too.
I'll take 10.
So start with what you're good at, and then also look at what you love. And they may be two different things. I mean, I've wanted to coach people in relationships for years, but I've never had the model of the perfect relationship, and people don't seem to want to pay me for that. So I don't coach on it. I've got a lot to say on it.
Could I add in a third part as well to do what you're most talented at, what you're most skilled at, and do what you love, which is, I think, more and more an important thing, especially when you're designing your business to suit your life. Also choose the people that you most want to work with, because I see some people that have this great skill in a particular area and they just hate their customers because they're not the people they'd rather hang out with, but they're the ones paying the money. They're going to have to keep on doing this because these people want it. But geez, I'm not really enjoying these people. I'd rather go work with these people over here.
Yeah.
And there's almost always a way nowadays to take whatever your skill set is, whatever your passion is, and redirect it at some price point in some product to the people you really would love to work with.
Yeah.
Because that's...
And there's
that's
a
where you get
practical
fulfillment.
component to that too. It's not just spiritual or a good idea to work with the people you love or what you love doing. It's practical. It's hard to build a new business. It's hard to keep going year after year. And if you don't love it, you're probably going to stop doing it. So it's not woo-woo at all. It's just practical. Be smart about it. So
Is that working with your podcast? I mean, you obviously set that up because that was your passion. That's what you wanted to be doing, right?
Yeah, and I love it. And the next step is capturing some of the audience and offering them some coaching.
yeah. Have you asked your audience what they most want help with?
I have, when people sign up, the first or second email is what is your biggest struggle and what's holding you back, and so
Right.
they reply with that.
And
So
what is it?
a lot of people want to know how to travel the world and have a sustainable business.
And are you good at that?
Well, I'm good at traveling the world.
That's a start.
There's an element on that as well. I mean, like, it's really great asking questions of your... I mean, it's a whole lot easier today to find out what people want to buy and sell them what they want to buy than it is to basically create something and then try and get people to buy what you're trying to sell, right? I mean, and so understanding that, and the little tweak that I've seen a number of people work, and we certainly use it ourselves as well, is first of all asking them out of some multiple points which of these areas would be of most value to you, but also asking the question, in terms of this level of involvement with us this year, which is the level you'd most be interested in? Would you like to just get some free stuff and we don't bother you too much? Would you rather actually get invested into something we're doing and maybe have a budget of $1,000 or so, but know you're going to get some really great value in return? Or are you looking for something much deeper where you might be spending $5,000, $10,000 or more, but you're going to get a really personalized experience? And people will tell you, because people don't want to be bothered with the wrong stuff. And when they do tell you, and you've got those people coming back saying, yeah, I want something at $5,000, $10,000, and I'm willing to, as long as it's the right thing, they're worth calling. They're worth having a conversation with and finding out exactly where they're at, what they want. And 5 or 6 times out of 10, they're going to end up doing something with you because you took the time to actually meet them at the level they wanted to be at as well. So I find that whole monetizing part, people will tell you how much they're willing to invest and how much time they're willing to invest as well. It's good to find that out instead of shooting shotgun approach and hoping you find the right people.
Yeah. I wanted to write a relationship book called Men Are Dumb. But no one was interested in that book. Everyone wanted to learn how do you travel the world and make money and live wherever you want.
No one bought it because the men thought it was a lie and the women already knew it was true?
Yeah. Yeah. I was just getting pushed. I was uphill trying to sell that, and everyone was interested in this other thing. And so my girlfriend at the time said, do that book. So I wrote a book called Get Paid for Who You Are. And that's what people wanted.
That's awesome. Let's take that's a nice series of questions. Let's please give Derek a round of applause for that. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. Who else would like to ask a question? Yeah, John.
Keep Leo jumping back and forth. The next person should be right on this side.
David, I love your honesty, by the way. I thought it's just been fabulous, you just being so transparent and just so beautiful about it. It opens up so much opportunity in every conversation when you start the way that you start. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been quite interested. I have quite a number of people who are in the coaching industry who have been there for a long time. And there's lots of broke coaches out there who've, also found their niche and whatever else, but, just not known how to actually monetize it in a way that's really effective and sustainable for the lifestyle that they want to live. But the question is more from the next level up, where I've found a number of coaches who are going down this line of coaching the coach. And I heard you say that you had this whole idea of going online and having all this content and really leveraging through that mechanism. Given that there's quite a bit of time that's passed, what have you seen out there today that's actually working? And do you think that it's still a viable thing for people to even be going, guys who are looking to coach the coaches, actually going this way and actually producing content, actually putting their content online and actually using that as like a membership system and stuff like that to that industry? Is that still a viable option? Or do you think, and this is probably to Roger as well, from perspective of trends and the way they think?
So there's two parts of the question. The first one is, how viable is it to actually build a business being a coach to a coach? Is it a vibrant, bright
to train
energy?
coaches, is that?
Yeah, to train coaches, and then that led to another one, which is the whole idea of being able to create a platform that allows that to happen. Is that a good thing?
Exactly. Given that the first part of the conversation is like there's a lot of broke coaches out there, and the other part of it is maybe a leverage mechanism, and is that the online thing? Is that going to really help?
I think that coaching is a strong market. I find when I meet people in Bali, they say, what do you do? And there are so many answers you can give. And the one that I started giving is, I help people create a business they can travel with. I haven't met anyone in Bali who's not interested in asking me more about that. So my experience is that everybody has a gift, they have something they want to share, and if there's a way they can monetize it, they want to know about it. So I think, to me, my experience is it's a strong industry. So I think that might answer your first question. Second one, is an online training program a good way to go to serve that market? In my experience, it is. I like working with people one-on-one, but there's only so many people you can do that for, and only so many who'll pay the premium for that. So for the rest of the people, I consider it partly a charity project. Actually, my program, I think it's worth more than $2,000, but a lot of people can't afford it. So I feel like I'm doing good work with that program, and I get leverage out of it. And now if I add 10 more students this week, my extra time, I mean, a bit more responding on the forum, but it makes the training calls even more juicy. So there's no cost to me, there's just a benefit of more students. So I love it. I love the online model. I get to create my training program, do my videos, create my assignments. You know, if you have a coach to help you create your course, it's actually fun to create, and then people go through it and they post, and I love it. Thank you.
And I'm going to just something that I think is a really important thing, and David's articulating this. So just reflecting on it, you know, the whole point of these Startup Grind sessions that we're running here in Bali as part of the whole network is to basically look at what does work. You know, I think the reason that, whether it's as a coach or whether it's a technology company or any other kind of business, and for a lot of people who I see who come to Bali who get stuck, it's for the same reason. It's not because of the coaching or because of the business, it's because there's too much internal focus. And it's because I think a lot of us have had advice, which is follow your passion. So the moment we meet people, we say, I'm passionate about this, and we haven't even really listened to what this person actually needs or what they're actually interested in. And you heard that when David, he says, he doesn't show up and say, I'm a coach, now let me tell you why I'm a good coach. He starts by saying, I help people to be able to actually run a business from anywhere or to be able to travel. And so he's getting right to the nub of someone's problem where they go, well, I've got that problem, how do you do that? And so it's being much more interested in that. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges with following your passion. Following your passion gives you a fulfilling life, but it doesn't make you money. Because people don't pay you money to follow your passion. People don't pay you money to do what you love. People pay you money to do what they love, right? People want to have something that they love, and if you can give them what they love, they'll pay you money for that, right? So yes, follow what you love, but not at the expense of knowing what other people love and how you can actually add value to them.
The holy grail is where those two meet.
Exactly.
If you find an angle of what you love, I mean, I found out I love business. I keep thinking I don't, but I do. I go nuts. I go raving passionate about marketing and do this and this will work. Who knew? You know, so if you can find that and find the angle of it that people will buy, because there might be 10 different angles of what you do. and maybe 9 angles no one will pay for, but 1 angle they're like, yes,
Yeah.
I want to find my purpose on the planet. Okay, I can help you do that. Yeah.
That's great. Okay, one or two more. Okay, we've got a question right from there at the back. That's Cynthia.
Hi.
Hello.
My question to you is going back to the beginning, how you were saying that the internet is inundated with free content and how you got yourself, and I know the Google wording that you're talking about, but how you got yourself to a position where people got to trust you within the free content, in the marketplace of so many people giving away free content. So I'm a chef and I give away free content and I'm building my online foundations. And I'm just curious how I build trust. Well, I am building trust, but how do I explain this? It's huge out there, basically.
Yeah.
You don't need to pay me for a recipe. You can go online.
So is your question how to get people to watch your stuff, or when they're watching your stuff, how to get them to trust you?
It's the trust part.
Okay, great. So what's your name again? Isa. What was it that had you, did you feel more trust for me after watching my video? And what was it that had you trust me?
I think you were so honest and simple.
Simple,
Simple and honest.
honest.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
very like,
So for her, it was simple and honest. And John mentioned that I was transparent.
sorry, I've got to... Here.
I was just speaking on behalf, or to Cynthia, I should say. Cynthia has everything she asked you. She has trust. She has free content. She's awesome. She's got a fabulous reputation everywhere she's ever been. What she really wants to ask you, but is shy to ask you, is how does she monetize that in Bali? There's not a person I know or that's ever come across her that doesn't rave about her, her product, what she does, how she does it, the love, the passion, the whole works. She's got everything.
Okay.
How does she make money now?
Well, yeah. So the first thing, I'd take the word Bali out of it, because I wouldn't think, how do I monetize it in Bali? I would think, how do I monetize it? And who's going to buy it? I don't specifically try and target people in Bali. People in Bali, like including me, think that things should cost this much. I just want students. If people in Bali happen to want to be a student, great. What is it that they can buy from you? What is it you'd like them to buy?
Basically, my gig is I facilitate creativity in the kitchen, to any kitchen in the world, to a chef, to the humblest of housewife.
Creative kitchen.
And through using nature, so as food is close to nature intended it to be with low human interference.
Okay.
From a very simple place, out of the scale of the wellness industry, which I'm in, which is such a intense industry of superfoods
What
and
is
raw
it they
food
can
and all
buy
that.
from you, though? Is it a training program? Is it a CD? Is it a 3-month course?
So what I'm building at the moment, and I've been filming in my studio, is certain programs that cover a broad umbrella of gluten-free, dairy-free, celiac, cancer, people with cancer, people in treatment with cancer and autism, and it kind of has this broad umbrella of my products that I can, those recipes are for. But I'm in an industry where you go online and it's free. There's so much free. And I know I have a large database and I feel that I do create trust, but I just haven't been able to see the connection because I'm used to basically opening a restaurant door.
I'm still not clear on your product.
Pardon?
I'm still not clear on your product. What do I spend and what do I get for it? What is it you're trying to sell me, or that I can buy?
So at the moment I sell ebooks, I sell coaching, so one-on-one monthly coaching like a monthly express,
Nice.
to show you how to shop for your organs
Okay.
instead of shopping for something trendy that's in fashion with food.
Yeah.
And then I have certain programs that I'm developing now, and they go from a raw food program that's simple, that a 10-year-old could do, to
What are the price points?
price points. I haven't figured that out yet.
Okay, so
But it's more generating, I mean,
No, I think you've answered the question.
yeah, thank you. I think one of the reasons you may not be making money is you're not clear on what you have to sell them yet. That might be one thing. Like I don't know if there's a $2,000 program you have, and Roger, we've talked about how looking for those people who have the budget to spend $2,000 or even $500, but you do have coaching, a one-on-one coaching program. I would take Bali out of it. I would hate to just try and sell to people in Bali. Oh,
I'm global. It's not, I just...
Yeah, great.
But I mean, the point Dave is making is exactly the point, which is until you have something very specific that a customer can say, yes, and here's my credit card, so I want that, which is what you're developing. But until you have it and it's really clear cut, so it's like, oh, that's what you're selling, that's the product, that's the problem it solves, then of course the money can't come in, because if you don't know what the price point is, of course your customer can't know either, right? So that is the element, and I think the design of that is where it gets interesting.
and
in
you
terms
have
of what it looks like.
coaching.
I have coaching.
How much is your coaching package?
2,500 a month.
There
for
we
1
go.
month.
All right. A lot of people.
But I haven't
can't
been able
answer.
to sell that. I sold one tonight because I have a 30% off thing.
Yeah.
Bizarre, because
So
I haven't...
that's often how I do it. I send out a promotion,
Yeah.
say for this limited time, you got bang, 30%, you sold one.
But why aren't they buying it before? Like, why is it, how am I not selling that? Like, I don't understand how the internet works, you know? Why isn't that...
I think I'm going to
None of us understand how
It's
the
okay,
internet
how much
works.
is your
It's
coaching?
this thing that we log into.
I'm going to rephrase your question to why don't people buy without scarcity or a special opportunity? I got no idea.
The sense of urgency, exactly what you're saying. Why is it that we all want a special deal? That's one of the things we do here at iLAB. That, like, what the bigger thing.
Time.
Right.
If I can buy it at any time, I'll wait till next month.
So as much as what's the benefit of buying is what's the cost of not buying. I mean, if
Yeah.
you don't have a cost of not buying, is that there's no cost, there's no pain of not buying, then well, why not buy tomorrow, the next day, or the day after? So that's the reason that it's why people queue up for the next iPhone. It's like because they might miss out. So every organization in the world will create an offer of some sort and say, here's what it is. And then people go, whoa, then I better make a decision now.
And it's almost like you're telling them when to buy. You're telling them, here's the right time. And because you're going to get a big discount. I have a webinar where I train coaches, and they watch the webinar, and for a very small window of time, they get a big discount. It motivates me to buy, so I figure it motivates other people to buy. It sounds like you're on the right track. You just got a sale from doing this, and they'll keep going that direction.
Sometimes the biggest element with any of these things, I mean, what you're hearing, I mean, like when you hear David going through this process where he's got these tens of thousands following, and then he's gone and chosen this, and then he's chosen that, there's a kind of a hidden undercurrent to all of this, which is the most challenging thing, I think, for any of us, where part of what we're selling is ourselves, right? We're selling our own expertise, we're selling ourselves, where our own self-worth gets caught up in the way, which is, will people even buy this from me? Am I worth 10,000 to charge that, or is that just silly, or should I charge this or charge that? So that whole element of going to your customers and asking them what they'd be interested in builds that confidence up. I mean, going out and saying, well, like, out of these different options, would you like to do more? Would you be willing to pay 10,000? You know, more often than not, when you do that, you're pretty surprised by what comes back of people saying, yes, I totally love that, please do that. And then that allows you to actually have more of a pull than a push when it comes to the kind of products you end up creating. And this is the great, awesome thing about things like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, crowdfunding, different ways that you can test the market today, because the market's more than willing to tell you what it really wants, because none of us want to get our time wasted by having someone sell us something we don't want anyway. So we'd rather guide them to what we really do want. And I think that that's a huge aspect of the entire coaching and Transformation Leadership Council. One of the biggest things that we're talking about is how do we have more of a two-way conversation with our audience, so that it's not just speaking from stage, but it's them telling us what they really want, so that we can actually support them in that way as well.
Yeah. And I imagine Creative Kitchen with a K is taken, but if it's not, I would grab it. Creative Kitchen? Yeah, KK, Creative with a K. I think it's a really hot brand, and I can see people going, I want a Creative Kitchen. I want to express who I am through cooking. I think it's very powerful.
So as a final word, David, after everything you shared, and thank you very much for sharing everything, if you were to leave everyone with some final words, what would you share as your final thing?
Well, no pressure. I don't have any. I don't know. Do you want, is there any, no, I don't, nothing comes to mind. Yeah.
5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing?
I see myself coaching and training with a wonderful partner who I don't have yet. I'm looking. Puppy dog. Yeah. And maybe in Bali. I'm not attached. Bali, Germany, Costa Rica, I don't mind.
Got it. Yeah. Okay, awesome. Can we please give David a big round of applause for tonight? Thank you very much.